Latasha, what up?
Yo,
Man, I feel like we're like siblings at this point.
I know. I feel like it's hard for me to like put on the serious voice. Hello, D. How are you today?
I feel like I bring out like a different side of you that people get to see like in your content. So they're like, oh, this is cool. This is dope.
I appreciate that. Yeah, people really enjoyed our vlog that we did when you came out to the studio. And I think I think people, obviously appreciated what you had to say and your personality and all that, but I do think that was a part of it too, is I was just being kind of weird
It
and,
was a good vibe, man. Like I want to say, I know I've told you like so many times, but I really do appreciate that. Like just inviting me out there. It's.
yeah.
I do want to say this because I think it's important for people to maybe the people more so that are starting off because like you invited me and I kind of like second doubted it, not because I didn't think it would be dope, but I'm like, bro, like I'm trying to build this business. It's gonna cost money to like go out there, and then once I fly out there, I also got to get like an Airbnb there where I'm gonna have to eat, and it's like, do you do that? Like, is it gonna be like, am I gonna do good on there? Like, what is gonna, you know what I mean? It's like so many
Yeah.
thoughts. I feel like a lot of people, I see this all the time. We're like looking, we're people complain about their life, and then you get an opportunity, but so many people say no. So
Mm.
obviously, I said yeah. I went out there, and then what was crazy is the day before I went, I think that was when school messaged me, "Hey, we want you to possibly be an ambassador." So
Yep.
then we already had the podcast planned, and then afterwards, I asked you like, "Hey, what do you think would be like good content for it?" And you're like, "Oh, like some of the stuff you talked about on the podcast would be good." So then I was like,
Yeah.
"Why don't we just maybe use the clips?" And then you did me a huge favor of like, "Bro, just send me the timestamps, and I'll send them to you."
Yeah.
And then that one video that I sent them, like like already had got me promoted, like inside of like what they're doing, and then like
Mm.
is already like performing like really well. And I was thinking about that the other day, like, dang, what if I wouldn't have like done that? You know what I mean? Like that's the I don't even think they had even ran any of my other stuff yet because they're like,
Yeah.
bro, like this stuff is like doing really good, you know. So
Yeah.
I
I'm
think a
so
lot of
glad.
the time, yeah, I just like I'm like, man, I need to stop overthinking that. I think so many of us we get opportunities that are a little bit outside of the box, right? Someone invites you to. I think even like when we were there, it's like the lady wanted to come to the studio, but it's like, man, nah, I don't know if I want to do this or not. And it's like
Yeah.
usually that stuff turns into something if we just
Yes.
go for it.
Well, I think that's to me, that's when I think of you, that's what I think about is this idea of investing in relationships, right? Like I think in business, sometimes people get way too like, oh, I don't know, what's the immediate ROI or what am I gonna, get out of this? Like that's maybe tangible. But I think that was an example, like when I met you and Lauren, and we first started talking about this idea, like it was I didn't have like a necessarily a huge business purpose for saying that. I was just saying, "Hey, I want to be friends with you guys. Like you guys are
Yeah,
cool." And vice versa. And I think when it works and when it's coming from an authentic place and you both have something interesting to offer, like it does pay off. But it has to start with that relationship building, which is like I said, what I think you're all about with your group and all that.
yeah, and I think I was talking. Maybe we were talking about this when I was there. I was talking about how like maybe 10 years ago, like people didn't understand YouTube. Like they probably would have, and they probably did tell you like this is stupid. Like why are you wasting time making free videos when you
Mm-hmm.
should be making money? But now so many people have done it, and they have plaques on the wall. They have their YouTube thing
Yes.
that people know that oh, if you do this, it will eventually pay off, even though it's
Yep.
free in the beginning. And I kind of want to be an example of like, dude, you can just care about people, and if you
Yeah.
care about people, eventually that turns into something, turns into opportunities. So,
Yeah. For sure.
um, for the people that are watching this that have never heard of you, like,
Yeah.
explain a little bit about like who you are, like what you do.
Yeah, I am a YouTuber. I also have a content studio in Michigan, and I got my start in the freelancing world doing social media management. And that's really where a lot of people know me is finding social media manager content, social media marketing content. I've worked with close to almost, I think I'm about to hit the 1,000 student mark for my signature program, the Social Media Management Accelerator, and over 20,000 students with all my different programs combined. So,
What?
yeah, yeah.
Nah, that's crazy.
I
See,
okay.
this is where I need like a
Yeah.
like.
I actually have to celebrate something. I feel like you're the right person to say this to. I just got an email from Thinkific. That's the platform that
Yeah,
hosts my courses. that I just hit $1 million in sales on ThinkGift
Let's
alone.
go.
Yeah. I was
Yo,
like, that's crazy. I mean, that's over like a few
cheers,
years.
baby.
Right. Yeah.
That's
Thank you.
crazy.
Yeah.
That's dope.
So, so
All
yeah,
right,
I create
so
content,
so take
education.
take
Yeah.
take us back to the day that maybe Latasha never thought that this would have been possible. Like, where were you before you started like going down this path?
I mean, I don't know how far back we want to go, but my
You
career, my
pick.
work,
You
yeah.
pick.
I mean, the short version, I grew up like super humble, single mom. You know, started working when I was like 14, 15 in retail. I worked in retail my whole
Where were you work? You worked at Hot Topic.
No, I wish I did. I was like a goth kid in middle school. Maybe that's why you're thinking that. I wish I worked at Hot Topic. No, I worked at like different women's clothing stores. One that doesn't even exist anymore. It was called Dots. I worked at Victoria's Secret. Yeah. So worked retail. And also I was going to school for film. I took my first film class
Okay.
when I was 15 or 16
Well,
in
what
high
got you into
school.
that?
We had this program in a high school where it was called Education for the Arts, and you could choose, like a program to study that was outside of like the core curriculum of normal high school. My family, my mom's side is very artistic. Like they're all musicians and visual artists. I
Oh,
also played music. I also grew up playing music. I played drums. So like I've always been a very creative person, but I never saw it being possible to like make money from because my mom's side of the family, I really only have one uncle who's a full-time artist. The rest, it's always been kind of like a side thing. My grandparents
yeah,
played music on the side. And so I always thought that's like I don't want to invest too much in my creativity because it's not like a real job. That was kind of always my
yeah.
mindset. So I went to school to college for film honestly kind of accidentally. Like I had this interest in film, I had this background in film, but I honestly kind of lost my path when I was like in that age, like 18 through 20. I started drinking a lot. I was like just
Was
kind of a
that just
hot
like
mess.
from wanting to party, or was there like a deeper like?
I think Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think I've always struggled with, at the time, we didn't really have like words for it, but like I have anxiety and like I've never, I never really had the tools to manage that. I also was, I don't say this to sound like cool, but like I was almost like freakishly smart in some ways. When I
I
was,
was a genius, bro, and I had to like
I was
dumb
just a
myself
genius.
down around these peasants.
No, but like when I was in elementary school, I used to go to this program. Like they would take me out of class to go to middle school. So like
Oh
I
snap!
never,
Okay.
I kind of because of that, and I also had to go to speech class because I couldn't say R. Like it was a whole thing. Like I
You
felt
wait. You had
like
to go to speak. Oh, because you couldn't say art. Oh wow.
yeah, I had to go to speech therapy for years, and like I got bullied for that, and like I don't know, I felt like I never really belonged. Like I never really felt like I related to my peers and things like
Okay.
that because I was always sort of like in this separate world and I was this like little weird genius, but like also had a lot of trauma like from growing up. My father was, deeply addicted to drugs and alcohol, and that caused a lot of trauma. Like I had a lot of issues that
Mm-hmm.
I didn't really have the tools to manage. And so then I think like a lot of children of alcoholics, like they either go one of two ways. They either like that becomes normalized and they do the same thing, or they go like completely the opposite way. And I started falling into that myself, I think in my, late teens, early 20s, and use that as like a coping mechanism for all the other things that I talked about.
Yeah.
So anyway, I was a hot mess and I was like, I kind of dropped out of university and was like, let me just take some classes
I
at
don't think I ever
community.
knew this part.
I know. I'm like really giving you the tea here. But yeah, I was like, let me go to community college and just take a couple, just like
Wait. So
lower risk.
where were you before
My
that?
I was at Western, in
Okay.
my
Yeah.
hometown
Okay.
in Kalamazoo. Yep.
And then
So
what? Like, wait. How? Wait. How did you get that? How did you get the idea? Like, what? Like, made you even think of doing that?
like like stopping school and going
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
community college.
Because
Uh
like you didn't stop though. Like I thought you're like, oh, I'm gonna stop and like just do something, not no school related thing.
I guess I did take time off. I don't know the exact, like I think I did take a full year off and just worked full
Oh, okay.
time. Worked in retail full time. And yeah, actually I did. I took time off and then I was like, okay, I have to get back on the horse. I had a scholarship actually. I'm very lucky, like I got a full ride scholarship to school, but you know how it works. Like if you drop your classes, you go on academic probation and you like lose your scholarship.
Okay, yeah. So you have a scholarship, and you still didn't
Yeah.
stop going. What went into that decision?
Yeah. Well, I did end up losing it for a semester, and to get it back, you had to pay for, like a semester to get back on track. And I was like, well, I'm not paying for university prices.
Yeah. Okay.
So, community college, I mean, that was still a huge investment. I sold my car to go back to school.
Nah. So at this point and at this point in time, were you thinking like what was your perspective on like your life? You're like, dude, I'm failing. Like, what the hell am I doing? Or like, well, like, how did you view like where your life was going? Because I'm sure you weren't sitting there like, bro, I'm gonna get an email saying I just did millions of dollars
I
online.
yeah, I didn't feel like I was failing. I think everything is so uh it's so different cuz back then I was like making money compared to all my friends cuz I was a full-time retail like assistant manager. So I
Oh,
was
okay.
making like I don't know like 35, 40 grand a year or something, which again when you're like 20, I was
Yeah.
like a
True.
rich
True.
friend,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know, and this is in 2010 or 11. So it is interesting. Like I felt like I was kind of living it up, to be honest with you. And then I think I started, when I did take that year to work full time, I started to see the cracks in that. Like I was like, okay, I am making good money for my age or whatever, but I'm working till 9:30, 10 every night. I'm dealing with these annoying shoplifters and like I have some retail stories if you ever want to do a part two, but yeah, just weird stuff. And I realized like, okay, I don't think this is what I want for my life. And I felt like I all this whole time while I'm doing all these things, I always had a blog. I always made stupid little videos just for fun. Like I was always creating things. And I guess I did. This was like 2010, 2011. It's kind of when internet marketing kind of started to be a thing. And I
Okay.
started to see like maybe there is a way that I can do more of this, that I can use more of these talents and skills. Not that I was like exceptionally, building a huge following or anything, but I did start to see like a little glimmer of hope, I guess. So I went back to community college. I sold my car on Craigslist so I could pay for community college.
What kind of car was it?
1999 Chevy Cavalier.
Ah.
Yeah, all
Will
black. It
you
was
will you ever
beautiful.
will you ever buy that again just to be like I got that car
That would be
back?
fun. That would be a good exercise, honestly, like a empowering thing to do. But yeah, so the reason I went back to film is because I took, you had to take certain gen eds to get started. So I took public speaking, which I was terrified about. Like I said, I had all this trauma from not being able to say R, being in speech class, like being very shy. I ended up loving that class. And I loved that class. I think because I did have a talent for it, but most importantly, because I loved my professor. He was amazing. I always credit
Oh,
Steve Ott, shout out Steve Ott at
shout out to
KVCC,
Steve.
and his wife Jenny. They're both instructors at the same school. And he was just such a cool instructor and like made me feel so seen and valued. And so I just kept taking his classes. So I took advanced public speaking, and then I took his wife's class,
That's
which was like
dope.
an interpersonal comm. And it just kind of led me like the film is in the School of Communication. So I was like, okay, well now I have all these communication
Wait, hold on one second.
credits.
So this was at community college.
Yeah.
See, I think it's like, oh man, it's crazy. Like I feel like stuff like that is almost easy to get emotional about, like looking back on, because it's like in the time sometimes it feels like, dude, what the hell's going on? But it's like if you wouldn't have stopped going to Western Michigan, you would
Yep.
have never started going there. And if you never started going there, you might not have ever met them.
Yeah.
If you wouldn't have met them, you might not have ever started doing what you're doing now.
Exactly. Yeah, I
But at the
think
moment, it feels like, bro, what is this? This is not what it looked. It's not what success maybe looked like in my head.
I agree. And I think that's I'm very passionate. I'm very passionate about like community college in general. That is one of my like long-term career goals actually is I would love to teach just like part-time
Oh,
at community college because I think it is so important for kids like me who like didn't really have necessarily the best educational role model or path or don't have the money to like go to a big fancy school. It's a place for you to really like play around and figure out what you are good at and learn how to learn and all of that stuff. But yeah, I think it's just important whatever stage of life you're at. If you're working a crappy retail job, if you're, just dropped out of college, like learn whatever you can learn from that situation that you're in. Like
mm,
even working retail, like I said, I worked my way up to be a manager. Like I knew that wasn't my forever career, but I wanted to be the best I could be, at the stage that I was at, as opposed to just being like, this job sucks. Like it's just
yeah, you're
like
just
a
going through
means
the
to an
motions.
end. Exactly. Like learn and I take skills from retail every single day into my business. So yeah.
So how did you get to? So you're taking these speech classes. How did you get to the point where you're like, okay, I want to start doing like my own thing, or like what fill in the
Yeah.
gap?
Yeah, so then I did eventually, did like a year and a half at community college and then I transferred back to Western.
Oh,
And
yeah.
yeah, I
I'm
majored in
back. What
film.
up?
I'm back. I'm back in action. By that point I was nearly sober. Like I technically I'm 34. I've been fully sober for like I think 9 years.
Let's
So there
go.
yeah, thank you. But yeah, there was a period of time where I like technically was kind of not sober, but like I mostly stopped like partying and stuff. I was like had my head on straight.
I
Was
think the
just in a
funniest thing
different
that
place.
one of the funniest things I ever heard this guy was like, I don't remember the day, but he said something like, "Oh, I've been sober for like 60 days," and everyone was clapping. He was like, not consecutively, but just
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 in
letting
my
you guys
life.
know.
That counts being an infant, by the way. No. That's
Okay,
funny.
so you go
Yeah.
back to Western,
Yeah.
and what is it that you're almost like graduated at this point, I imagine.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I had like 2 years, I think, at Western, um, studying film and political science. So I did that. I wanted to work in the news. That was kind of the direction that I was going. I took a lot of broadcast classes. And it's so funny because, like I said, I grew up like not being able to speak and being made fun of and feeling very insecure. But I realized pretty quickly, like, I did have an interest and a talent for being on camera in my broadcast classes. Like, I was always the one that my groups would be like, Latasha has to be the presenter and stuff like that. So that's what I wanted to do. And I've always been very like interested in politics and what's going on in the world. And so that's where the political science came in.
I'm like, I'm laughing because like when I was with you, I'm like, yo, you ever thought about getting a Tesla? And you're like, do you not understand? I'm like, bro, I'm sorry, I don't pay this much.
Well, yeah, and it's funny that you like bring that up because I feel like that's kind of one of the reasons that I decided I didn't want to go that route is because I saw again the timing of this. This was like 2011, 2012. This was Obama, McCain, Obama, Romney years. Stuff started getting really intense. Like the volume got raised a lot in the political world. Like it used to just be like, oh, my friend D and I disagree. We're on different political sides or whatever. And it's chill. But it got
Yeah,
really like, I was like,
yeah.
this is intense. Like, you can't even have a conversation with people anymore. And it kind of just freaked me out and like turned me off of that a little bit. Um, I still love to have conversations, and I think I can have very nuanced conversations and very balanced conversations with people
Yeah, we got a
interpersonally
lot of
now.
questions for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But I don't know that I want to be in that world like full
Yeah,
time.
yeah, okay.
So that kind of changed my perspective on things. Also, the internet was changing a lot. Like I said, I always had a blog. I think I started my YouTube in 2013. I started my YouTube channel because I got a foot surgery that I could not work. I was off work for the first time in my life since I started working. I think I was gone for 8 weeks, which felt like an eternity when you've been working,
Yeah.
nonstop since you were 14, 15. And so I was just like in my bed with my laptop and I decided to start a YouTube channel. And at that time, makeup content was really big. And I was like very into, I worked in retail. And so I was very into fashion and makeup. And so that's what I made my YouTube channel about. And now we're here. No, I'm just kidding. There's a lot in between there, but
So like,
that's,
so I know you said like, and I probably know the answer to this, but I know you said at one point you were into like goth. Like, what type of makeup tutorials were you doing in the beginning?
um, I was not goth anymore. I mean, I do have some. Like, I remember I did one that was like a Kat Von D inspired makeup tutorial, and that was like a gothic Lolita inspired makeup tutorial. Like, I had fun with. I did like the smoky eye and like lots of color. I barely wear makeup nowadays. Like, I'm very like simple. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with it. It was like a creative tool, a creative medium.
And so, as you're doing this type of content, how did that progress into like making money and turning it
Yeah.
into? So I feel like
So
that's probably where a lot of people are that are maybe watching this.
yeah, for sure. So I just, number one, I just had fun with it. And I think that I know this is like the hardest advice for people to hear sometimes, but I truly was just having fun. I was just creating stuff because it was fun. And I think when you do that, you get good at it because you're passionate about
Yes,
it.
I
You're
agree.
not like holding yourself back. If I had an idea, like I said, I'd be like, ooh, I liked that, like whatever, like goth Lolita, like makeup look that I saw. I'm just gonna do it. Like I wasn't like, does this
Like,
fit
oh,
into my
how is this gonna
brand?
monetize? How is this like art?
Yes,
Yeah, okay, I like that.
exactly. I was just having fun with it. But, and then, I start to grow a very small community, like 100. I remember my first 100 subscribers and things like that. And I was like, okay, this is kind of fun. Like, what if I could grow it further? What if I could make more of these connections? And so I started researching on YouTube, like
You're
stuff
just
about
watching like
internet.
a bunch of YouTube videos about like how to grow on YouTube or what?
Yeah, for sure. Like, I mean, this is the time when I found Gary Vaynerchuk, who I'm sure
Yeah.
everybody knows. Like, he was really big at that time. There was a YouTube channel, Tim Schmoyer Video Creators, just people like that. And I was like, oh, okay. Like, Amy, her name used to be Schmitastic. I know she got married, so I don't remember her new last name, but she had like a social media focused YouTube channel, and I learned a lot from her. So yeah, I used to just I kind of like started to learn the game and like learn, oh, there is like strategy behind that. I have the passion. I have the I wouldn't say talented makeup necessarily, but like the talent for creating videos. Now I'm learning about the strategy side of things. And yeah, so I sort of started to get immersed in that world. Also always have to shout out, like I'm big in giving people their flowers,
You do a
and
great job of that, by the
thank
way. I
you.
appreciate that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, my college boyfriend, he was a graphic designer and he was freelance. He was the first freelancer I ever knew. And at first I was like, does that mean you like don't have a job? And like I was like, I don't know. But no, he like actually, worked freelance for an agency, and he gave me this book, which I always give to people now. It's called Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon.
Oh,
Have you
okay,
read
yeah,
it?
yeah. I
It's a
haven't read that, but I've seen it.
I should have given you one while you were here because I always have like extra copies. It's a really good gift, like a
You can
good
send
book to
send me
like
that with
give
those Apple Air Max Pros or however they're
that are
called.
just laying around on the ground somewhere. Yeah, so he gave me that book when I had exams in college one day, and I had like I had to be on campus the whole day, and I was like, I need a book like for in between classes. He was like, oh, you should take this one, you'll really like it. So I took it, and it changed my life. Like it's just
Wow.
you've got to read that book. It's first of all, you can read it in like an hour. It's really short and sweet. But yeah, it really opened my eyes to creative entrepreneurship and this idea of making money from being creative. And so yeah, it helped me really start to take YouTube a little bit more seriously and start to do things like develop a YouTube schedule, for example. As opposed to just posting whenever I wanted to, I started saying, okay, I'm going to post every Monday and Friday or whatever. Starting to understand the idea of like, niching down and having SEO, friendly topics and all of that stuff. And anyway, the long story short of how I got here is I made a YouTube video that was a little bit more business focused. It was talking about an industry website, basically. Um, and I kind of gave my review as a creator. I was like, hey, here's how this website helped me, and here's how it didn't, the pros and cons of it. And I got an email from this man in Paris. His English was like pretty like rough in the email, and I was a little sketched out. I was like, this is like definitely not real. But he was like, hey, I watched your video on this website. We're creating a website that's kind of similar, but wants to be a lot better. Can you get on a call with me and start consulting and like help me make the website something that
Oh,
you would like to
nice.
use? Yeah. And so that again, shout out to my college boyfriend Nate, because he was like, "Yes, you should take this call. Here's how to use Skype." Like I was like, "What? Like how do I accept payment for this?" Like he really helped me with that. And yeah, I got on this call, and that one Skype call turned into, I think I worked with them for 3 or 4 years, built up their
Wow.
whole like influencer marketing strategy. We built a community of over 20,000 influencers. I hosted events for them in New York and LA, built a team of 4 people. So in just in the US, they had a huge team over in Paris. And yeah, so that was like my first long-term
What
client.
was like when you first started working with them, was this an opportunity where you're like, yo, this is great money off the bat? Or was it like, hey, this is kind of like a risk, but I'm
Yeah.
willing to like, grow with them?
Yeah, I started very part-time. So I think I maybe charged like $100 for that first consulting call or
Uh,
whatever.
Because
And
what I think messed me up a lot is
yeah,
like I get advice from my family that aren't entrepreneurs, and they always
yeah.
want you to maximize like everything right off the bat. And like I feel
Hmm.
like when I was in my 20s, I messed up a lot of opportunities like that because like, well,
Yeah.
how much did they pay you for this? Oh, you need to charge for this, and it's like they don't understand the value of like the long
Yeah.
termness or the longevity of things.
For sure. Well, it goes back to like the top of this conversation, right? It's about investing in relationships. And I I was like, okay, like once I looked this guy up and looked up the company and looked at how much funding they had and all the things, I was like, okay, they're legit. This isn't just some random man in his basement. Like, this is somebody who would be good to get to know and have in my contacts, if nothing else. So I'm just a girl in college. Like I'm not saying I didn't know anything or I didn't have anything to bring to the table, but I did kind of have to prove myself. And we
I like
both
that.
we had to prove ourselves to each
Yeah.
other, like that could be a mutual could have a mutually beneficial, relationship. And so I wouldn't have felt comfortable at all being like, "Hey, you've got to pay me, $5,000 a month off the bat to have a conversation." Like I wasn't confident enough in my skills, and frankly, I didn't have them yet. Like over that 3 4 years that I worked with them, I grew to the point where I felt very confident, asking those numbers, but I didn't on day one. And I think that's a big thing about freelancing and entrepreneurship is you have to you have to actually feel like you can do a good job for somebody. Like you have to be able to justify those rates yourself, because otherwise you're going to feel bad about it. You're going to like just dig yourself into a hole. So I believe in starting slow, building up that relationship. They will see the value in you. And
I
that's what
like
happened. Yeah, after a few consulting calls here and there and like a few just kind of like hourly projects. Like, hey, could you look at this spreadsheet of brands and tell me which ones you think are cool to YouTubers and which ones aren't? Like simple stuff like that. Then they actually offered me a full-time position off the bat. And so it must have been 2014, 2015, because I graduated college in 2015. And I was like, okay, I can either work full time for this remote company in Paris, or I can try to get like a corporate job. And this was also around the time when I started dating my ex husband who lived in Detroit. And so that was also like, I was like, we just started dating. Like, I don't want to like either move to Paris or, I don't know. Like, I kind of wanted to move to Detroit and be closer to him. And so all of those factors combined, I ended up getting a full-time job at General Motors in their
Mhm.
like it was like not a cool job. Like I mean it was. I loved it, but I wasn't like some high-powered
Yeah.
person. It was a very entry-level job at GM in their marketing department. But it was great. Like I'm really glad I did that, cuz then I got that true corporate experience.
You had to let go of the Paris thing.
I didn't. I
Oh, okay.
I declined the full time offer and I said, how about instead of a full time job, you give me a contract of, 20 hours a week or something like that. And I hire somebody else to help me. And so I was able to get my friend a job. She was a good YouTube friend of mine who also, we had met a few times because she was from Michigan as well. And so I was able to bring her on and we were able to basically like split a full-time job and do it together, which was really cool. So,
I love you because you're always like sometimes you talk to people more so in person,
mhm,
or you see their content and it's like self-made. I did all this by myself, and it's like, bruh. Now
no.
we all know that's not true, and you're
Yeah.
always like, no, this shout out to this person, shout out to that person. So I always
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, Kelsey is her name. She doesn't do stuff on the internet anymore, so I won't like say her full name or anything. But yeah, we had a good time doing that, and yeah, my GM job was kind of like it was almost like in a call center, but it was for the internet. So I worked really weird hours. So I would work like 5 to 11 p.m. or 4 to 11,
Oh
something like that. Yeah. And so I would get up in the morning and I would do my work for Octoly, the Parisian company, and then I would like have lunch and then go to my night job and just wake up and do it all over again. Like that was my life for probably a year and a half, 2 years. I was doing both. And then I ended up getting a different corporate job at a company called Kelly Services, worked there for several years. Again, was working for Octoly the whole time as
and
well.
you're doing your YouTube channel
Yes.
during all this too,
Yeah. Yeah.
just
I would
grinding.
I don't like sometimes I do look back and I'm like, was I like what was I on literally? And it was just coffee. A lot of coffee, I think. I don't know. I don't know if I
Shout
can
out
go
to
that
this
hard.
bakery. No.
Yeah, shout out to Starbucks. No. Yeah, I don't know. It is wild though, but I truly think I was just fueled by passion and like I loved it. I mean, as I'm not saying there weren't hard days or there wasn't stress about any of those things, but I truly like my routine every weekend. I would wake up and on Saturday, that's when I would do my own YouTube videos. And that was like fun. I looked forward to that. It wasn't like, oh, now I have to do this YouTube video. I was like, cool, now I get to do now I get to create something and put it on the internet and people actually watch it. Like that's dope, you know?
Yeah.
So I had fun with it, and I know that type of performance is not sustainable long term. Like you cannot, most people cannot work a full time job, a part time job, and a creative passion
Yeah. Yeah.
and have relationships and whatever. I know that's not sustainable for most people long term, but I think if you find yourself in that season, make the most of it and put in those building blocks, like set yourself up for success. I'm really grateful that I chose to build on YouTube because YouTube, I mean, some of those videos that I made those days, like in 2016, 2017, are still getting views, are still getting me clients today,
That's dope.
as opposed to like if I were to just spend my whole life on like Reddit or Twitter or TikTok wasn't a thing back then. But I think some of those things are a little bit more, in the moment and kind of here
Yeah.
today, gone tomorrow. I'm really glad that I like built a framework, like built a house for myself basically. So now that I'm in a very different era, I'm like, no, if I have like more than 3 items on my to-do list a day, I'm stressed out. But I've set myself up to be able to do that. You know what I mean?
So how did you get to the point where you were just like, you're not having to work these jobs, or you
Yeah.
chose not?
So it was in December of 2018. My dad passed away, like pretty unexpected. I mean, I say, unexpectedly. Anybody who's like ever loved an addict kind of is always like waiting for that moment, for lack of better words. So it wasn't like fully unexpected, but it was like kind of unexpected, It
It's like
was
you knew that that would probably be the result, but you don't know when.
exactly. Yeah. So yeah, it definitely, even though I had kind of been like mentally preparing for it for a long time, it was like a big, there's definitely like Latasha before that incident and after that incident, like there's a different version of me that exists now. And yeah, it really put things into perspective for sure of just like I want to be able to go drive an hour and a half and see my mom whenever I want to. Like life's short. I don't want to have to
Hmm.
like
Yeah.
ask. I don't want to take a day off. I don't want to even just get on Skype and tell people where I'm going. Like I want to be able to just do it. It also I mean, he was only 51, which is like now, like, I'm like, I'm just like, that's so young. Like I'm 34. I'm like, that is not that far away.
Yeah.
Um, and obviously, he lived a very different lifestyle than I do. And so hopefully that's not going to be my story, but it does put things into perspective. You never know. Like, we're not promised any day. And I'm like, is this is this going to be my life sitting in a cubicle um forever? And again, I'm really glad that I did those things cuz I learned so much, and I really enjoyed a lot of my time working in corporate, but I felt like I did kind of reach a wall. Like I reached a point where I'd kind of learned what I needed to learn from that job, and I was sort of just going through the motions now at that point. So, yeah, it was a big eye opener for me. So he died in December, and then by April, I was on my own. I think I put in my notice in like February or March. I gave like a lot of notice because I didn't want to like totally screw them over. But yeah, I just was like, all right, this is this is it. I'm gonna take a leap of faith, and I did, and here I am, still kicking.
So what would I'm trying to, because like it's interesting because like me and you have had so many conversations, right? Just like all this
Mhm.
stuff. I'm trying to think of like the stuff I know people will be wondering, which I think is all right. I have YouTube. I have this creative thing I'm doing. I have a job. Obviously, in order to not work the job, I need to have a source of income.
Yeah.
So I think people understand YouTube and the content creation, but it's like, okay, what were you doing that
Yep.
allowed you to make enough money to
Yeah.
not have to go to those places? What was the product, the
Okay.
service? Where did the money come from?
Where'd the money come from? That's what I want to know. Okay, this is a great this is a great question. So, I was side hustling for years at that point. I did not touch that money. I want to be very clear, you guys. If you are making more than you need, stop spending money. Stop spending money like you are, a baller out here. Just stop. Put that money in a bank account. I wish I would have been putting it in a high yield bank account, but I didn't have those. I didn't know those things back then.
Yeah.
But I saved all of my checks that I made, all of my invoices from Octoly, and I only used them to pay my taxes on my business. That was pretty much it. Or like if I needed a new computer, like something that was business related. But I was living the same lifestyle as I was living, and I was just living off of my, full-time paychecks. And so by the time that I left, I think I was able to save, I don't know how much it was, maybe like $20,000 or something, which again, to me, that was like so much money back then. Like
Yeah.
I was like,
Facts.
oh my God. Like, I mean, I grew up without, I'm sure there were years we made $20,000 in a year, you know? So, I think that was a nice safety net for me. I think that was like maybe 6 or probably even more than 6 months of expenses for me. And so that gave me a safety net. But I want to be clear, like I wasn't making the amount that I was making from my full-time job, like when I quit my job. And I think that's, I don't want to say a mistake. Everyone has their own comfort level. But I think if you're waiting for your side hustle to make more than your full-time hustle, it's going to be a real uphill battle because you just don't have the same amount of hours. Like it's going
Yeah.
to be very difficult to do that. So I think there is a part of it that just has to be a leap of faith or a math problem. For me, I was like, okay, I'm making like $3,000 a month from my freelancing, and I don't know, whatever, like $5,000 a month from full time. If I just do the math, if I had an extra 8 hours a day for my side hustle, statistically speaking, I'm gonna like
Right.
outpace that 5 grand. I don't know that for sure, but statistically speaking, if I'm putting that effort into my
I think it's
business,
a
it will
mix
pay
of.
off.
I think it's a mix of the math, and then when you say when your dad passed away, where it's like even if it whether it works out or it doesn't, like life is short. So I want to
Yeah.
spend that time going for it and finding out rather than doing the safe thing. And it's like for what?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that was another part of it too, is like I said, I was really struggling, honestly, and I was like, I just need this time. Even if I spend this $20,000 on like a sabbatical, basically, it'll be worth it. And if I have to go back and get a, new job in 6 months, that's fine. So I knew I would be okay either way. I think you have to kind of like tell yourself that.
You can always almost go back to a job. Like they're not going
Yeah.
to run out. What? So when you got to the point of making money, like what was like? What do you feel like is the? I think I might have asked you this question when I was
Mhm.
there, but like, what has helped you make the most amount of money?
Yeah. Well, in the beginning, I got on Upwork every single day. I got on LinkedIn every single day. Like I had a little checklist for myself. Um, I basically had to be spending at least an hour of kind of like client attraction, whether that's pitching, applying to things, posting things every single day. And that happened really quickly. I was able to get I think my like big moment was I got a $5,000 a month video contract. Probably like maybe like 2 months into full-time freelancing. I
Oh,
got other
nice.
smaller gigs and stuff too, but that was like, okay. I mean, that's what,
Wait,
60
let's go.
grand?
Yeah,
That's a full-time income for sure. So that was a big moment. And then I could kind of like breathe a little easier. But I forgot your question.
So basically, the reason why I'm asking that,
Hmm.
excuse me, I see a lot of people. I imagine people thinking, okay, Latasha, they see your YouTube channel now, and they're like, at some point, you kind of just went for it, and like the
Mm.
YouTube was making you money, like right
Yeah.
away. And it sounds like no, I was working another job, and I also didn't wait until YouTube was surpassing that. I
Yeah.
saved the money, and then even then, I wasn't just like, hey, I'm going to make videos and let the AdSense kick in. It's like
Yeah.
I'm looking for jobs, and I'm still posting, and it's still not doing
Yes.
that. And then at
Yeah.
some point, I imagine you created your own maybe product or service, and then the
Yes.
YouTube videos started driving traffic to those. But it wasn't
Yes.
just like, hey, this channel was making me money. It's like investing years, actually.
Yeah, YouTube, I mean, even still today, like YouTube directly is a very small part of my income. And I mean like very small. Like AdSense is like I think this year it's going to be like maybe 20K or something, which again is not nothing, but it's not a full-time income for most
Right,
people.
right, yeah.
And even with sponsorships, like it's not the majority of my income. So, yes, I believe creators should have a service. So that's what I talked about, and that's typically like the
Mm.
beginning part is like that's kind of the easiest way to make money is to trade time, trade expertise, trade knowledge, something for money, right? Like we all have a service inside of us, I think. So that's what I did. Then a product. So I did create a course. I created a course actually while I was still at my full-time job, technically, on social media management, just because I was a social media manager. I would post on YouTube and people would ask me questions about it. By the time I left my day job, it was making me like maybe $100 a month. It was very slow, low ticket, low sales, but it did eventually become, I eventually scaled it with the more videos I created. I went through and I improved it and updated it and all of that. And I created other courses too. So have that and then have a brand relationship. I think those are the three creators should think about.
A brand
Product, yeah,
so,
service, product, and a brand. So like a sponsor,
oh, okay.
an affiliate relationship. And those typically come later. Those typically come once you have an audience, right? And once you actually are, like a little bit more of a somebody, I guess, for lack of better words. Again, early days, no brands were knocking on my door to sponsor me. But, maybe like around 2018, 2019, I started to develop some relationships with different brands and started to I would use Amazon's affiliate program and different things like that to start to earn different streams of income. So I wasn't relying just on the
Hmm.
freelancing, just on, one of the things.
So because I know you need to go in about 10 minutes, I have maybe like
Rapid
I don't know
fire.
if this I don't know if this is like a weird question, but maybe it's a good slash question, a unique question, which is like, are there any numbers that you feel like just like flexing on? Like I think sometimes like people see what we're doing, and it's like
Hmm.
I think sometimes it's important for people to know what we've done, but in like a humble way. Like how it's like, okay, I understand that you grew a YouTube channel, but
Hmm.
how does that relate to money? And I
Yeah.
think because it's like taboo maybe to speak about money, people don't understand the power of the what's been how it's been able to change your life. But then when you
Yeah.
come on here and like you're not bragging, but you're like, yo, this is so dope. I got an email where I hit like $1 million. Like then people are
Yeah.
like, oh, like okay, I need to take that serious. What would
Yeah.
you say some other milestones like that you've hit? Could be YouTube subscribers or anything else that will kind of
Yeah.
give people a better idea of like, dude, take this stuff serious.
Yeah. And I think another big one, and I think having money transparency conversations is very important. The only reason I sometimes kind of shy away from them is because I don't think that is the most important factor in what makes me happy. So
Yeah,
I would say for me, like when I hit my first $500,000 year, that was a big deal for me.
that's
That was
dope. Yeah.
a big number that I was like, that'd be really cool if I could do that. I'll say I'm not doing that number this year. I'm being honest with you. And I am 100% happier, actually. So it's not that I can't. I believe and know that I can do that number again. I have actively chosen not to. As I explained to you, I'm like, I don't like to work like
Yeah, yeah.
aggressively hard anymore. This year has been like a huge, it's kind of been like my eat, pray, love year, you know, like I've been traveling and like falling in love and like, you know, going through all the real human things and investing in
We're gonna work
therapy
on
and
that
like,
last one. I'm just kidding.
I know. Yeah. Falling in love, falling out of love, getting my heart broken, all the things like
Yeah.
healing, you know. And so that like, and also going through like a health journey, which is like a whole other thing. Having the flexibility and the income to support all of those things is worth more to me than hitting like an arbitrary number. But I will say, when I set a goal and said I want to do 500K this year, and then I did it, and I did actually closer to 600K, that was really cool.
All right.
You know, like that, I was like, okay, coming from where I came from, that was just like
That's
unreal.
fine. And then what about like YouTube wise?
Yeah, YouTube. I mean, yeah, getting this little stupid plaque
That's for
is
100K.
100K. Yeah, I never saw that happening. And again, I think I'm a big like depth versus breadth person. Like I prefer to think about the individuals than like this. But it is still cool. Yeah, it is still cool. I think I have like over 200,000 subscribers now. That's a crazy number. Like I was never
Yeah.
popular in school. I was the weird kid wearing like goth clothes and like not being able to say R. So I would never expect to be like popular in any sense
Can
of
you
the
can you
word.
do can you do me a weird favor?
Oh gosh.
We need to see like a goth outfit on the vlog, like a
Oh,
throwback.
oh yeah. Maybe I'll do a recreation, you know.
That would be
But
so. That would be dope. Oh,
yeah.
another idea that I had because I want to tell you why we're here. Why I think of it. So when we were talking before, and you're like, "Man, I have so many crazy stories about retail." I feel
Hmm.
like those are the things where if you just turn on the camera and you talk about it, and then share
Yeah.
it inside. This is like a plug to like the school community that you have,
Yeah.
and then it's like, what other crazy stories do you guys have where you work? I feel like that's the stuff that would like be super dope. It's like just quick, like
Yeah.
just record it and put it in there.
All right. I'll do that just for you.
Because like I'm so interested in that, and I think
Yeah.
I think the vlog stuff is cool, but it's like it's not like in the moment. Like when you have an idea and you
Yeah.
just want to share, it's like I got to record it, but then I'm recording the rest of the day, then I got to edit it, and I think
Yeah.
the community is a good place where it's like, bro, she just literally recorded that like today, like
Yeah.
in the we're like a part of it. So I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe good
That's
idea,
fun.
maybe bad idea.
Yeah.
So another question that I want to ask before we get off here that I've asked everybody because we never know who's going to watch this. Like you said, YouTube, maybe someone in 5 years is watching this,
Hmm.
which maybe won't help as much for this question. But anyways, what is something that you need help with right now? That someone that's watching this, maybe they have the resources, the finances,
Yeah.
the know-how. Don't
Sorry, I'm
say
just
anything
laughing.
crazy.
I know, I'm just laughing because you're like, yeah, we got to work on that. Your
Love
relationship
life.
decisions. Is there a relationship guru, a matchmaker out there listening? No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No, seriously. Honestly, right now, one of the big things I
Are there
really want.
scrawny white men listening to this?
Stop. Oh my, vegan must be vegan. Just kidding. No, no. In all seriousness, I'm really trying to focus on the studio right now. So I want, if you are a Michigan-based photographer, videographer, content creator, podcaster, hit me up. Just send me a DM. I'd love to show you the space. I'd love to grab coffee with
Okay,
you.
dope.
And yeah, I just had a photographer in the space, and it was just cool to meet her and like get her opinions. Like, hey, what would you like in this space as a photographer? And you know, what could you see this space being used for? So I'm not
And
even
our
focused. Yeah, Ann Arbor, Michigan. It's like 30, 40 minutes from Detroit. So anywhere in that
and if you know
area, hit me up.
anybody,
Yeah,
send them your way, basically.
yeah, exactly.
And you say that one more time. Photographers who is like those type.
Photographers, videographers, content creators, podcasters, or if you're like, you know, I had a woman in the space that you mentioned who rented it. She's a therapist. And so she does a lot of interviews and, you know, front facing kind of things. If you're somebody like that who wants to create content, you're like, I'm a therapist or I'm an accountant. I have this idea for a podcast or I do interviews on camera and you need a cool space to record. I'd love to show you the space and see how I
Feel
can help
free
you.
to like like you're better than I am, but like, feel free to just record like a video, like again in the moment, and post it in our community. Like, hey, if anyone,
Yeah.
like Dee told me to post this video, if anyone like needs this, like I have this available. Because I think some people are thinking like, oh, you have to be on the end with Latasha to get invited, not knowing that you
Yeah.
can actually book it or it's possible.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm working on the website right now too to make it, because my like agency website is for a different thing, right? So it's not
now,
optimized for people to come in and like book tours and schedule. So that'll be coming updated soon. jamesandpark.com.
and okay, that was gonna be my next question. How do people? You said DM you. Like, how do they get like in contact with you
Yeah.
or find?
So they want to learn more about the studio and my services, jamesandpark.com. If they want to learn more about content, courses, just chatting with me, latashajames.com, or just DM me pretty
She's
much
like,
on
don't DM me. It's
Instagram.
gonna be 30 business days.
Honestly, I'm not a great DMer, I'll be honest. Honestly, maybe I'll say a better place is my school group, which is called Down to Business. I'm sure we'll link it, but I have been responding to every message there because obviously it's a smaller pool of people, and I want to invest in those relationships. So DM me there, actually.
Awesome. Oh, well, we wrapped this up in I think pretty good amount of time.
It's pretty good
So
for
I
us.
really appreciate you doing this. I'm sure like it's cool because we just keep like doing more things together, which I feel like is dope and
Yeah,
something I want to do with more of our members. So yeah, I
yeah.
really appreciate you doing this, and yeah, like let's keep grinding, homie.
Until next time, I appreciate you having me.
All right, you guys. Oh, what else was I gonna say? Oh, well, real quick, if you have time, because I asked
Yeah,
other people this. If
yeah.
someone's watching this and they're on the fence of maybe joining Undeterred, what is your like maybe
Ooh.
thought on
I
that?
mean, it's a fun place if nothing else. I feel like there are some really interesting members in there. And I've been traveling a lot and things like I said, so I haven't even gotten to really go all in on a lot of the calls, but even just like scrolling through, I always get inspiration. When I am like updating my website or thinking of my offerings, I'm always like, "Oh, this person is like, I don't know, doing like piano lessons. It is totally different than what I do, but I like the way that she packaged it." Or,
Nice.
like it's just a good place for inspiration. There's really high quality, people in there, like people who are serious about what they're doing. So I find it to be a very inspirational place.
Appreciate you. All right, y'all.
And
Well,
Dee and Lauren
thanks,
are really
everything.
cool and sweet, and they're great hosts. So
Appreciate you. All
yeah.
right, Dan. We'll hop off here. Appreciate y'all tuning in, and we'll talk to y'all on the next one.
Bye.